BIM 360 platform is universal. Overall, it's got some big changes compared to if we had spoke 2 months ago before April 9th. So this whole common platform is really the heart of this big change. From an Autodesk standpoint, we think about how many people are going to work and live inside of cities, and that falls under urbanization. We do push BIM mandates to your clients, so the owners, the building owners. We try to solicit the value to those owners so that you, who are trying to do BIM or trying to do Revit, can actually follow suit and give that value proposition to them. And then I know that we all together fall into the group of distributed project teams. So you are not working in a vacuum. I know from my conversations across US and Canada, it doesn't exist. We can all agree that as much as you would like to create document sets which are more simplified, I think the reality today is we're just having more and more data that's being built through project delivery. Now, this is where we really look at you and take a good self-look at how you're doing things today. FTP, or obviously everybody's got network drives. Maybe you're investing in some basic cloud storage, or maybe overall you've got these different point cloud solutions, or even just point solutions that are being used for your project lifecycle. I usually call this like the wild west of project delivery these days, especially with project management and construction tools. It is the wild west of those construction tools. This is an old slide, so before you roll your eyes at what this slide's all about, let me kind of put it into context. I've been with Autodesk since 2000 for a very long time. This used to be called the sawtooth, and it used to talk about how CAD, every time that you would do a CAD drawing and then print it out, it would actually go back to the next person as far as the engineer, and they'd have to rethink the whole thing. That's not this slide. This slide is all about the transmission of data. So for example, whenever you're doing your BIM or your lonely BIM, whenever you're sending the stuff over the firewall to FTP or a box site or something like that, there's some kind of transmission standpoint where there's a drop in performance, there's a drop in, upload time and download time. They are just repositories. What our BIM 360 platform is trying to actually do, and what it does, I find quite successfully, is that it smooths out the transitions. And you have the opportunity in our new BIM 360 platform, if you want to transmit and have that little bit of a latency between your deliverables, by all means. But if you want to do the green line, you can certainly jump on board and have full access to a virtual real-time kind of collaboration through a Revit environment. I'm throwing this up there. This is a scary slide, and I'm glad that I don't have to explain this slide anymore. So this is just a scare slide to actually tell you before April 9th, every product name with a check mark, for example, was its own cloud. And we used to try to explain this to you guys, and it's a little bit confusing to say the least, even to look at this graphic. Let's put that away. This is what we're talking about since April 9th of this year. We're talking about a single common data platform where the project data resides. This project data, you can see that there's a name thing. That's my Caesarism for the day. Autodesk Forge is really the programming interface to which BIM 360 is built. So Autodesk claim to fame is allowing third parties to build additional things like products, programs, third-party apps on top of products from Autodesk. That's our claim to fame. So Forge is like the Lego kit and the programming interface for our developers. And so we design on BIM 360 from Forge. They also design the products that they build on Forge, and it kind of all comes together. So think of BIM 360 as an iPhone, and we have some basic apps for BIM 360. We have apps that cover design, pre-construction, field execution, and handover, and operations. If you find that there's something missing in BIM 360 that we don't make today, take a look at our app partners. We have over 55 different apps built on BIM 360 today that, they fill some gaps until we either build them ourselves or, they get integrated somehow throughout the value chain from Autodesk. So within this platform of BIM 360, we have our design data, and we're going to really talk about design today in BIM 360 design. So let's get you smart for 1 minute on what this means to you. So BIM 360 is the platform. We have BIM 360 design. We have BIM 360 glue. We have BIM 360 build. And at the core of all of these three products, so these are three products, at the core of it is a fourth product called, if I could spell docs properly. That's why I'm not a teacher, because I can't write properly, but we have docs at the core of all of these. So from a design standpoint, this is what you'll learn today, that if you use Revit and you want to Revit central files to the cloud and you want to collaborate with teams with that central file, you'll say, I need design. And that design license will include your docs license as well. And the same thing with glue. If you want to do clash detection in the cloud, you'll say, hey, Caesar, I want to get glue because I want to do that clash detection thing. Now, the build piece right here is actually really quite impressive, because overall what build gives you are project management or construction management tools. So that's when somebody says, hey, Caesar, I don't do Revit, but I do want to do markup. I want to do coordination as far as viewing some drawings and comparing one model versus the other model, or one drawing versus another drawing through comparison, drawing sheet comparison. And I want to do some issue tracking, some punch list issue tracking, some quality assurance, quality control, checklists, things like that. That's build. And you'll have your docs license along with that too. If you are just a simple, in the office project manager, and all you do is manage projects, you don't get involved with Revit, you could get, at the very lowest common denominator, your license of docs, which will let you do the red line markup, the document issue tracking, the comparison between one version of a model or drawing to another version, and so on. And I'm going to highlight some analytics and insight as well. And insight, thank you for the marketing naming within Autodesk. I'm going to punch myself in the face as an Autodesk person. BIM 360 Insight is not the energy management tool. It is more of an analytics insight of the performance of your project as it relates to open issues and tracking RFIs and stuff like that. So that is your crash course in BIM 360 in these modules. So let's really dig into design. So it wouldn't be an Autodesk presentation if we hadn't changed names on you for products. So BIM 360 design, let's get you smart with this. This used to equal C4R, collaboration for Revit. So that's what it is named today. So if you say, hey, Microsol, and hey, Dan, I want to buy some C4R, Dan's going to quote you BIM 360 design. But BIM 360 design will contain your legacy ability to do C4R stuff, as well as the new functionality built into BIM 360 design. But the premise has not changed. First of all, you need to be using, might sound silly, but you need to be using Revit to do the C4R thing within BIM 360 design. So it starts with Revit. The model gets pushed to the cloud. The change within BIM 360 design is that it's going to push your model up to the docs, BIM 360 docs backbone. And overall, that's where the central file will reside. Now, in the past, your C4R used to go to the BIM 360 team site. That's one thing that you really should know, that you don't mix up those projects. If you've got C4R right now, finish your C4R projects, finish your BIM 360 team projects. That's fine. But if you get any new projects, put them on BIM 360 Design, use the spot that goes to Docs. And this is where you're going to have that very same kind of functionality that you had in BIM 360 Team. But for anybody that's new to this call, you've never heard of the C for R in Team, forget everything I said. You're just going to take Revit, it's going to go up to Docs. In Docs, you're going to do version control automatically. You're going to do red line markup and all that stuff. And one nice thing that you're going to also do is use the design collaboration module. This piece here will let you be the master of your domain kind of thing. So in that sense, in the context of architecture and engineering design, let's speak a common language for a second here. A lot of people call, if I was going to do a 25% DD set or a CD set, most of you should know what I'm talking about, right? It's some kind of a progress set, or it's a preliminary design set. And it could be, you could call it like a line in the sand to which, as an architect, I'm going to push this 25% DD set to my M, E, and S, and P. I'm going to push this to those guys so they can start working. That's exactly what this design module was meant to do. We create things in here called packages. So just like progress sets, we call packages. That allows you to do version and visual version control. So within this package set, you might find that this roof actually changes. That'll show up inside of your review. And this is where, as an architect, you might want to, share that change as a package to your structural engineers and so on. So very, very interesting. I'm going to show that live. And essentially, this is what it looks like. Revit gets pushed into the cloud. You're putting these central files in the cloud. They'll automatically version. They'll automatically date stamp. And you notice you've got Mr. Vandelay that's working there. But essentially, the part that is brand new, that's been maybe long awaited for those people using this technology a year or so ago in collaboration for Revit, is the permissioning. So I've got Cosentini, I've got Le Mesurier, I've got Stantec. Each of these team folders is permission based. So the moral of the story is we have really locked down permissions across design teams. And you work out of your own design team folder. When a new package is released, so for example, when architecture shares something with Cosentini, and Cosentini says, yeah, architecture changed their floor plates, we need to adjust our engineering plans. So when we accept their package or their progress set, let's say, you can see Cosentini has a consumed folder, which means that they're going to consume the architectural model as their background for Revit. So this is a great permission. We call this a very low trust environment now for the delivery of your project cycles. And essentially, this is everything that I said is basically in this side. You've got architecture that does their work. And then essentially, they basically share and package this information up. And it can be these different file formats which get shared up. And this lands in the doc site. And then back, they review and consume as a structural engineer. Typically, the structural engineer links in the AutoCAD or the Revit file as a background. And then as they do their structural engineering, then they package and share up the latest and greatest structural models. And then the architects then review and consume the structural models. So the word consume is there. The word package is there. But that's what I was trying to explain in the past few slides to help your understanding of package and consume. And this is an example of what it starts to look like. So overall, you see the circles specifically within the context of the at the very, very top, we call these things swim lanes. And like swim lanes in a swimming pool, we each try, well, let's say we don't just try, we each stay in our specific lanes. So each circle, whether it's filled or not, is a package. Or let's, Lay terms, progress set. So as I made a progress set back here, this circle is filled in right here because my progress set was reviewed by somebody else as an engineer up here, and they consumed it. It's part of their backgrounds for Revit. It's consumed. This progress set, which is empty, has been possibly reviewed, but it hasn't been adopted or consumed. So it's really not part of anybody's background. But you can see my following architectural packages have been created and consumed. So as a teammate, so for example, BNIM, when I make a new progress set or a new package, I'm going to use this plus sign. It creates a new package. And then somebody, for example, this landscaping group, Landscape AB, whenever they go ahead and take a look at that package, they have a choice of whether they want to consume it or not. Some of the tools that we all get, though, as part of design collaboration is this exploration tool. So this was born, you know, a year and a half ago. It was in our other product called BIM 360 Team. It's made its way inside of this design collaboration tool. And in nice colors of green, red, and yellow, we get to see things that have been added, removed, or modified. And essentially, because this is Revit, and this is the advantage of Revit, you get to see if it's a modification based on, you know, property type. It could be a physical modification. So for example, it may have been the floor plates physically changed in size, or it could have been just a property changing, going from generic slab 6-inch to, you know, this, we're going to use hollow core slabs or whatever the case is. So it's a property change and not a physical change. So these are actually buttons. Every time you click on them, you can turn on and turn off the colors for clarity and representation. And this piece right here, it's really just to highlight, this is your 9 button. We've gotten away from the thing that's called this, which is a hamburger menu, but whatever that 9 button is called, that 9 button lets you see which modules that you are subscribed to which you are subscribed. So in this case here, if you were saying, hey, I want to buy some BIM 360 design from Microsol, what you will get and what you will see as a user will be these 2 modules. Document management, which is docs, that's the backbone. Everybody gets to see docs, and you'll see design collaboration. You'll also be able to see the insight module as well. If you were just the project manager and you're saying, I want to do Redline, and I want to do Markup, and I want to do some document issue tracking, then you will only see docs. You will only need to buy docs. If you were somebody who goes on site as a project manager or as a CM person, and you said, I want to do the things you talked about inside of the build, I want to do issue tracking, quality control checklists, and things like that, then you will see this and this. Is model coordination. So as project management and construction management, you will also have access to docs as a backbone as well. Okay. So if that's not confusing enough, let's hold it to the questions right at the end, and we'll get to those clarities. The last piece, and this really is the component that takes everything and pulls it together, called the desktop connector. BIM 360 desktop connector, in lay terms, is a virtual drive. So just like you have your C drive, and then you have your M and your L drive, which are your network drives, desktop connector really is your virtual drive for your project. So within document management, I'm going to show you these features. We're going to see on how the document management does manage PDF files as well, not just the native Revit files. Document management lets you take and compare side-by-side comparisons in colors of red and blue, what your drawings have changed, whether it's PDF or Revit or DWG. You know, that's huge. Let's get rid of the silos of products that you guys are buying and put you all on BIM 360 because this pretty much does everything that your silo products do today. Markup in model space, do some measuring, point to point, area and angle takeoffs. And then also create some, some workflows. Hey, I want to create an issue management as far as a document management issue. I want to talk about this skylight right here, and I want to assign it to a person, so put at Caesar, and it'll flag me, and I'll get an email to say, hey, Caesar, you need to take a look at the issue dealing with the documentation on that skylight, right? So this is document issue management. The build component, if you were managing the construction site and you said, hey, they never flashed this skylight properly, that's a punch list item, then you would actually buy build. Okay. So just for the video purposes, I'm showing these slides. I'm not going to go through this today at all, but this is part of build, doing field management workflows, quality control workflow issues. So this is quality controls. And we also track things like RFIs. They follow a workflow. They go from one person down to, the consumer down here. And well as submittals. This is all built into the BIM 360 build module. So let's get right into the heart of it. So we've covered off in about we're at 11:28. We're going to go another 20 minutes. We're going to have Q&A at about 10:02. So I'm going to give you 20 minutes of some live overview of BIM 360. So I'm not going to bore you with the Revit front end, but I'll tell you when you're going to do BIM 360 design and you want to take that central file and put it in the cloud, it starts with Revit. Your Revit files need to be pushed from Revit to the cloud. So you can see this file has a little cloud moniker right there, and it tells me the path is BIM 360 ZZ development. This path for this project here is on my computer. So this does not live in the cloud. And the moral of the story or the workflow is start your files in Revit. Once your file is open, you would click on the Collaborate tab. So for example, here, let's just use this simple file. I'm not going to go through this entire process, but I want to show you this is where it starts. And if you've seen collaboration for Revit, it's exactly the same. Nothing has changed here. So this file is local to my hard drive. When I say collaborate, I know that it's local to my hard drive because this button shows up. After you push this button, this is where the magic starts. You want to send this to BIM 360 document management. I'll just tell you as a tip that I am running 2018.3, and 2018.3 would allow me as a user to push this model to my old BIM 360 team site or to my new BIM 360 docs site. If you were using 2019, you will only see this bottom one here. But some of our current customers want to see both of these because they have to work possibly in both environments. Not at the same time, they're going to work in one project on team and maybe on a separate project on docs. But once you push this button, that's when you push it to the cloud. That's the first step. The second step is you're going to start to learn the publish settings here, because what you see in the cloud is all dependent on what you're publishing from Revit. So for example, you can see I've got a 75% CD set called this. And if I take a look at this 75% CD set, I can say, no, I don't want to send all of those views to the cloud. I want to send the model to the cloud, but only send these views like this 3D view and maybe any of those sheets that are currently checked. I just want to send these sheets to the cloud and these sheets to the cloud. That'll be part of my 75% CD check. So your knowledge on Publish, if you've never done it before, you will become quite intimate and knowledgeable about Publish. and you will save that out. And because this publishing mechanism is going to make things land in the cloud as you want to see them. So here we are. Let's fast forward a little bit, and we've pushed the Revit file to BIM 360. I thought I would start here first because I want to show you a project that is partially done to give you an idea of what your project could look like if you are working, whole hog, you're all in BIM 360. You're no longer using, these siloed products out there for PDF or some kind of a project management stuff. You can do everything here. This is what your dashboard could look like. Here's the name of the project where it says TS Construction. This would be your firm name here. This is your project name here. But this is your nice dashboard where you're tracking where the project is located, the weather. So if you're on the northern side of the border, this will be in Celsius for you. But everything else down here is common across architects and engineers. So what document issues do we have today? Oh, okay, we need to change the flooring. We need to change some of the table styles. What are the due dates? We were tracking some submittals inside of the project. What's going on there? So, and the design packages. Saginaw Structure just updated a project a little while ago. Anarchy Architecture, they sent something to the web on May 23. So and these are all hot links. So for example, if we wanted to see this issue, which is currently answered, or we want to open one that's not quite answered, we can just click on any one of these dashboard links and jump right to it. Change the floor. So in this case here, here's the details of issue number 12, assigned to. That's fine. It was just, we've got a small design team of 2 or 3 people, so you really don't have to look far, within the office to really tell somebody to do it. But if you had multiple offices, you would assign it to a specific person. And it's attached to a plan, and we can take a look at that plan right through here and get a better sense of what this issue is all about. Change the flooring, that's pretty cryptic, Caesar. I don't get what you're saying. So it's going to go to the plan. It's going to find where the issue is, and it's going to circle it and identify it for me right there. So issue number 12, change the plan. Oh, okay, it's in the restroom. Somebody probably put carpeting down in the restroom. We should probably put that down as linoleum or terrazzo or something like that. So within the issue, you can track things like attachments. If you had pictures of what the flooring needs to be, you can add and drag and drop them here. You want to see the history of this issue, or you want to add comments. You can attach also issues and other photographs. Take pictures with your camera from your phone or from your tablet and append them to this issue. And once it's done, then you can say answered, or you can just jump right and close it. Right. This is terrazzo. So that's some basic issue tracking. And I might as well stay in this spot right here because you can see, yes, I do have, there's markups. So there's some markups. You have a markup legend. When you click the markup button, it shows you the legends of markups. Pretty basic stuff. I don't want to waste your time on this because creating a markup launches the tools. You get the tools, you draw the markup. The one thing to note is you can have markups which are private, which is nice because I don't want to share all of my mistakes with my colleagues. I want to fix them first. So you have private markups, and then you have published markups, which is really a colleague to colleague sharing mechanism to which you really have to come to resolution on that, on an answer to that problem. The issue tracking, that little dot there is simply create an issue. You would zoom in the pulper room. Let's stick the issue right there. And the issue could be, access point. And this is where you assign it to a user. So down here, that's how you start assigning issues to a user, create that issue. It auto numbers itself. It places it there as a push pin. All is golden. digging further, you can do field issues. This is if you have build, you can do these field issues like punch list items. If you have RFIs as part of build, your subs can do RFIs. If you wanted to see the sheets, you come to the sheets and 3D views. So remember I said that published feature way back here in Revit, that published feature? Well, this is showing me all of the things that got published. So I've got my colorized floor plans, and I've got my sheets, and I've got my 3D models. So only those things that I said to be published are published. So there's my elevator core because I intended for people to see this. And then the history. Version control, and even side-by-side version control, as well as split view. Split view is a very powerful kind of document management system. So within the split view, you really get a chance to select things. See what I did there? I selected a plan view item, and it's showing me that respected or respective item in my 3D view. This is awesome. Like, so if you've got anybody that you're trying to have design discussions with, you can go ahead and choose on any item in your plan view, or, you know, even in your model view, and have it respectively show you that item down in your plan. So there's the door. You know, show me the other door right here. I'm going to choose something further down. Show me this top piece right here. So great view, but you can do more than that. You can stick it onto and that's my technical term, you can stick it onto a different sheet. So show me the south elevations of the building. And now from an elevation view to a plan view, you can do the same kind of thing. So if you've got the right sheet, I've accidentally grabbed the wrong sheet, I think. Oh, no, there we go. So there's that window in plan view. Okay, very cool view. This is part of document management tools. So this is your lowest common denominator. So let's fast forward and get to the heart of it. So design collaboration. What was those swim lanes? You know, Caesar didn't talk about that during that whole document management piece. Here we go. So when we push it to the cloud, we're doing a few things. We're going to push it to our own discrete folder, and that's what we're in right now. We are in our folder for Anarchy Architecture, and only us as the architecture group can see into our folder. And here's those swim lanes. So this drop down arrow, when you click it once, it just shows you what our folder is doing and what the shared folder is doing as well. You can also see that there's a timeline. There's May and there's April, and there's a month showing me. And as I decrease this timeline, it starts to expand the weeks. And as we expand, we start to see more published sets way down here on a daily basis. And we can see a Mid-City Mechanical that was published way back here historically on this timeline on the 16th day of April. As Anarchy Architecture, this is part of the swim lane function. You can expand the swim lane to show all the teams as well. And then as part of this design collaboration, you can, you know, click on Saginaw structure. This is a new version to which I have not accepted or consumed. That's why it's empty. So let's try this out. I haven't seen this one lately. I'm going to look at it as the project manager from the architecture group. I want to see what Saginaw structure did, changing it compared to this previous version. So I'm going to explore. I can explore. This is their published sheets. Remember that published feature? They published these sheet views for us to consume or for us to explore. Now, showing the changes, let's use the change visualizer. So it's going to load the previous version and compare it to the current version. And if there was any changes on this sheet, it would show them in colors. In this case, it's finding 6 changes. Now, as a tip, usually what I recommend, because I know modeling, I'd like to just jump into the model and run this comparison tool, this change visualizer, right in the model. So let's do that. Okay, so here we go. Now you can start to really get a better picture on what the building looks like. So our building, you can see the yellow items here, they have been modified. And like I said, these are buttons. So if you turn that button off, it hides the color and gets rid of the distractions. And you click on the shapes, it will zoom and go to that shape. You see how it went to that one shape there? You can also scroll through the shapes right here to say, show me that shape, show me that shape, show me that shape. And in addition to this, there's also the date to which this changed. So this shape changed in blue is the earliest date. What was the latest date? And you can say, oh, did you see that? So watch this. As I click this, see the shape, the steel shape got deeper. It's also going to tell you right here as far as what the components are as well. So because my screen size, I'm limited to sharing this like at 1024, 768, but on a bigger screen, you'd be able to see all the context here. So this is very, very useful. And the same thing here. What did this one look like? Oh, yeah, this one got deeper. I'm going to take a look at, yeah, all these shapes really did get deeper. Now, this is your choice. You can look at this model and continue to explore these design changes, or this is a great feature right here. These are 3 new features built into this compared to collaboration for Revit. I want to see the phase of construction. So these are under new construction. Okay, cool. I want to see the teams. So show me architecture overlaid with this. And it's going to skin it with architecture. This is not to do the clash detection. That's part of glue or model coordination. This is for you as the architecture project manager to skin it and then possibly take a look at each discrete level. So remember those changes that were down in the first level? You can say, show me first level, and it just shows you first level. That is so, like, to me, I don't care about the value of this. This is just cool to me to be able to jump back and forth to these levels. It's almost like the Minority Report movie with Tom Cruise. So anyways, great visualization tool. And now, remember that circle is empty? If I said consume, this will change that circle and consume it as part of Anarchy architecture. See how it changed it? That is telling you that Anarchy architecture, which is in bold here, has now consumed that latest structural model change. It does 2 things by doing that, okay? The first thing is you've accepted that package set by consuming it. So you've accepted the progress set by consuming it. The first thing it does, and this is where Caesar puts his technical hat, okay? So Caesar, the geek here, puts his tech hat on and shows you that within your document management folders under Anarchy architecture, BIM 360 Docs built a consumed folder for you. And under that consumed folder is exactly where you'll see Saginaw structure. And this is exactly where you'll see this version. You can see it's updating it right now. We consumed it. So it is updating the version of this Revit file. It'll be done there in a second. And while it's working on that, way back in Revit, you know, if you had a link and you had a link from structural, this link right here, actually, there it is right there. If this was linked to the cloud, and that's the whole moral of the story here, this link will also update for you automatically. Okay. I never finished this example at the beginning of my presentation today. Because I never finished this file doesn't exist in the cloud. But if I was to open up another cloud file, that cloud file, along with this path, would actually say cloud. Instead of saying absolute, it would say path type cloud. because of this workflow. It will update my Revit file now, that linked Revit file, because this would be the cloud Revit file to which I linked. I hope that's as clear as, like, you know, very viscous mud is the way that I can think of it. And we also have a mechanical file here too. You can see under Anarchy Architecture, we have this Knit City Mechanical, and we are on version 4 because we have consumed a variety of the mechanical models over and over, which means our Revit file is on the most current Knit City Mechanical model that we want. Those are very specific words that we want. So what I describe in this workflow, just to kind of bring it home for you, this workflow is meant for those firms that want to create progress sets on maybe a bi-weekly basis, so every twice a week. We want to allow our consultants to work off of progress sets, right? So that's not quite real time. That's twice a week is, you know, that's twice a week that you have old data. If you wanted real time, like near real time data, as Anarchy Architecture, let me show you Desktop Connector. Let me close this off. Let me show you Desktop Connector. Let's open up this file. So it's opening a cloud model. So this is reaching into BIM 360 Docs, and we've got 2 minutes left before Q&A. So this is your, if you want to ask me a question, type it into the console panel, and we'll answer your question during Q&A. So, and if you can't tell, I'm having a great time showing this to you guys as well, to you today. It's very exciting to be able to show this stuff to you. So manage links. What we're going to do is create a cloud link. So I'm going to say, let's go into our plans view. Okay, so let's say that we wanted to bring in a Revit link as a background. This is where we're going to access Revit link. So I am about to talk about Desktop Connector. So what I really like to show here is, it gets confusing. You'll see a BIM 360 icon up here when you are doing File, Open, or File, New. When you do those two commands, you'll see a big B up here. But when you're not doing it, you're doing File Link, you really should browse to My Computer. There's your Desktop Connector right here. This has to be a separate installation. You double click it, and this is your virtual drive. There's the little snowflake. You will see one of these, typically just one. You will go into it. This is your account. It used to be called a hub. Like BIM 360 team used to call them hubs. They're called accounts now. That's just to keep you guys on your toes a little bit. ZZ development, or as I like to say, ZZ development. Project files. And remember what I was saying. I want near real-time file linking. This is where I'm going to browse into my architects file folder. And I am not going to go into the consumed folder. I am literally going to choose their central file, and I'm going to link that into this project. This will get you to near real-time linking, so that if you get a call from the architects and you're the structural engineer, and as a structural engineer, I say, hey, you architects, did you guys update your file? And they go, yeah, we did. All you have to do is refresh your managed links. And that's exactly what will happen. Your link will refresh. And the nice thing about the refresh link is that it'll only send the delta changes. It's not going to send like the 100 megabyte file over again. It'll be the delta changes that get saved and refreshed to your Revit experience. And now that I did that cloud link, you can see it, right? The path type is cloud. So anytime I save this file out in the future, any other person, when they open it, as long as they've got access to this project, they will be able to access this link, and you won't have orphaned links.